Dude, I was trying to think like when was the first time we met? Because I know obviously it was over the summer before our freshman year, but like I couldn't place like exactly like when we had our first conversation.
That's an oldie. We're going back at least a decade, aren't we, on that one?
Maybe it was like in the locker room, like right after like a practice, like a morning
I,
practice or something.
I think it had to have been after one of our you remember when we used to run down by the river?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it was one of those because that was like how Cal State kind of introduced us to each other just by hard workouts and stuff.
I forgot about those runs by the riverbed, dude. Those were fun runs.
How could you forget about that, man?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's just so many like wrestling memories. It's like it just takes
Yeah,
me a minute to kind of pull it up.
memory
Um,
card's full.
I do remember like asking you about your tattoo. I think maybe you had just gotten it or you had gotten it like a couple months before, but the one that you have
Yeah,
on your chest, it's Psalm 144:1. Was
yes, it
like
is.
teaches my fingers to fight, and I was like, dude,
Yeah,
that's hard, man. Like that's super cool. And I didn't like I thought was what I was thinking about this earlier, but like I didn't really grow up like around like faith or like Christianity, so I was like, oh man, that's in the Bible. I'm like, that's hard.
yeah, yeah. Hands for war and fingers for battle, man. I've loved that verse for a while. It was one of my father's favorite, so it was fun, man.
I feel like that quote is kind of like a little bit of you in a nutshell.
A little bit past Dylan in a my old self for sure.
How'd
Always.
you get to like figuring out what that like picking that tattoo? It was just like your one of your dad's favorite psalms.
So I heard my father say he used to tell it to me before pretty much every match back in high school, but it was on my sister's college team shirt from Missouri Baptist. That was like their slogan, and they had a really cool cross design above it. And I saw it, and I was like, I want that on my body. So that was the first tattoo I ever got. I think I was like 5 days past turning 18.
So this was like one of those things where it's kind of like part of your wrestling story too, obviously. You know what I mean? It's like you saw
Yeah,
it, you heard it
yeah.
from your dad, and it was on a shirt, and you're like, dude, let's ink it up. Was that your first tattoo?
First tattoo, and it took 7.5 hours, and it was extremely painful.
Because it's right on like it's like right on your rib, isn't it?
It is. It is on the ribs. Can I? Is it
I mean,
kid
hey, you
friendly?
know.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't go away.
No, it doesn't. Which I thought about is like, dude, I got my first tattoo. I got the cross or whatever, and man, you like kind of tripped me out, and I thought about the other day where you're like, you're gonna get it there, and you're never gonna be able to see it with your own
Yeah,
eyes.
I was there for that tattoo. I
You were
remember that.
there. You were a big
I,
reason why I got it, actually.
no kidding.
I don't think I would have gotten it if, yeah, I didn't come visit you out in St. Louis, and you're like, dude, let's do it. Let's go look. Let's check it
That
out.
was that was a good trip, man. Yeah,
It
you
was
went
super
to
fun.
you went to SIUE to wrestle, didn't you?
No, I went to the Edwardsville complex.
Oh, where my sister works. Okay.
Dude, can we talk about that place for a second?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
like I've told people before, like that's probably the coolest, like the definitely the biggest room I've ever been in. That's just
Yeah,
it's just devoted to wrestling.
it's a huge complex, and it's funny. All of our stories lead back to wrestling, huh? No, it's a super cool complex. It's actually the same guy who built it. He built the East St. Louis wrestling facility. It's the exact same, just half the size.
So still like three mats.
Yeah, there's room for three mats. We rock with two, but they've got a hallway set up and everything, locker rooms, concession stands. It's really cool.
That was I think dude that trip when I went and saw the facility, I think you had to work like in the morning or something like that. So you
Right.
let me borrow your ride, which I was like, bro, these wheels are too this car
Yeah.
goes too fast. Like this is too
Yeah.
fast of a car for me. Like I drive a Kia. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to drive this car, man. But
Yeah.
I was like, all right, like 10-2, like staying in the right lane, going super slow. And then I remember I picked up Brandon, and
Oh boy.
Brandon's like, "How fast have you gone?" And I'm like, "Dude, I've been going the speed limit the whole time. I'm not going fast." And he's like, "You gotta take it up, just at least once." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, dude, all right, like here we go." And like, like freaking went for it, and I was like, all right, I'm done."
Uh,
Like,
it's the first time I've heard that. How fast did you get?
I don't probably like 100.
Jeez, Brian.
But we got there pretty quick though. It was like, zzz.
Yeah,
um,
that was the Corvette, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. But we went to the that practice, or it was just me and him working out, and man, I was super impressed. I was like, and it wasn't even the main. It's not even the main part of the gym. Like it's just you have the wrestling piece, and then
Yeah.
most of it's aquatics, right?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. They work with the swim team as well.
Is that guy? Is he come from like a swim background primarily? Like, how do you get into wrestling?
No, no. So his name's Mark Mestemacher. He's a super cool dude. He grew up in wrestling in East Illinois, East St. Louis, actually. And I don't know how much you know of the city, but this kind of ties into my new job. It used to be a population of like 120,000 people. Super cool city, super thriving, right by the river. And then in the 50s, there was kind of just this mass exodus that happened, and it just has only gone down and down since. And in 2008, he started a program that works with the community there. Um, it started as like a landscaping company, just kind of taking down all the overgrown lawns, and then turned into a housing development and then a wrestling program because a lot of the kids who were helping him out were on the wrestling team, but they were just kind of having trouble staying out of trouble, you know. And then 20 years later, it turns into, who I'm working for now. And we have over 40 wrestlers on the youth team and 30 kids on the high school team and 50 employees and 35 houses that they're building. And they're just really trying to turn around the town. He's a super cool dude.
I feel like that's like one of the things where it's like if you really want to like change like your environment, so you got to change the culture and like provide like opportunities for people to kind of be around a sport that just allows you to kind of learn some discipline and gives you an
Yeah.
environment where you can really kind of build your character. And it's like, how cool is that, dude?
Yeah.
How'd you get involved with that? Like, what was the? I know we talked on the phone a little bit. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think you said your brother-in-law does it right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so my brother-in-law Steven, he's a wrestler also. He wrestled for, oh, he's gonna kill me. I always mess it
Two-time,
up.
was he a two-time qualifier at Virginia?
Yeah, he lost
See,
to our
like a
former
trap.
teammate in the blood round, Mr. Bryce Hammond. Do you know
No,
that?
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, yeah, our former teammate took him out in the blood round. Um, and I give him a little bit of trouble about that here and there. Uh, but no, so he's worked there for 7 years. He's the director of wrestling. He's got me, and there's two other coaches. So we're four coaches to 70 kids. We're a little understaffed. That's kind of why I got brought in mid-season. Coming up on a month ago. But him and I have talked about it for the last couple of years. My sister actually works for the same, like, or heard about it through the same guy because he is kind of involved in both of the programs, the Edwardsville Wrestling Center and the East St. Louis Wrestling Center. And I don't know, I was just kind of bored and stagnant with what I've been doing. And, I've always loved wrestling. So I finally took the plunge. Somehow life had a way of always bringing me back to wrestling, no matter how hard I fought it. So I'm super excited to be involved with the middle school program here and work with the Lansdowne Center as well.
I think it's interesting that you said like you always kind of find your way back to wrestling. It's kind of like you know, I actually just had a good conversation with one of my buddies, Sean Sheets, who was the
Mhm.
officiant at Emma and I's wedding,
I remember.
and one of my good buddies. But he was we were talking about like identity, and like I kind of asked him like, do you think like that's one of those things where you try to get away from it, like it's not who you are, it's just something that you do. But I
Hmm.
kind of asked him, I was like, well, like think about your successes, and it's like, do you think you could get to that point if wrestling wasn't your identity? Because it's like we always kind of, I think a lot of wrestlers kind of struggle with that because it is a big part of who we are, but it's like we're not just wrestlers, like we're other things, like we're ourselves.
Right.
I mean, what do you think
Yeah.
about that, like with the identity thing?
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, I've been wrestling since I could walk. My father had a gym, a wrestling and an MMA gym, uh, Ultimate Fitness with Williams Grappling Company.
Yeah.
Mr. Matt Williams, also from wrestled at Bakersfield with us. So, I mean, as a kid, that was my daycare. My dad would just put us in the wrestling practice, and me and Matt would go beat each other up. And so it's kind of hard not to identify as that with everything. There in some aspect, I think about it every single day. It's brought up. Every job I've ever gotten, there's something that was taught to me in wrestling that I can use for the job to be successful, whether it was some kind of sales I was doing or just the manual labor I've been doing. I want to be the best in the room. I want to be the best at the job. That's how I was sculpted as a kid. Like, you're not going there just for fun. You're going to go there to try to be the best, and I think that's definitely how Bakersfield was as well, too. When we got in that room and with a bunch of killers, may seem like a tough task, but no matter what, just try to be the best.
I think it's dude, that group that you guys had at Sultana was pretty special because it was you,
Yeah.
Matt. I'm blanking on his name, but he went to Oregon State.
Glory.
Grego,
Yeah.
yeah, Corey Grego, right?
Griego.
Griego,
Griego.
Griego, Griego. What I was Grego part of that group too? Because you said you and Matt were wrestling when you were young. Was Grego part of that group?
No, he came into our lives at Sultana, I believe. Um, yeah, he was in a youth program. I don't remember which one, but we really started meeting each other. I'm pretty sure high school. But yeah, you say competitive. I weighed about 180 pounds my junior year, and our 170 pounder was Corey, who was a four-time CIF champ, and then 82 was Matthew, who multiple state qualifier, state placer, and then there's me as a junior, and I'm still like getting into wrestling. I had never been to state before, still kind of get my feet on the ground with it, not really hit my stride. So the weight classes between there are 165 and 195 at the time. And I'm sitting at 180 and I can't make the starting spot at
Yeah.
those two weight classes. And I'm like, well, crap, what do I do? So me and my dad had talked about it, talked with my coach about it, and I decided to make the cut to
Oh,
165 for Super 32. And it was a terrible process, being 16, 17 years old, cutting
you
in
never
your
really cut weight before, right? It was like
never.
really your first weight cutting experience.
Yeah. Yeah. My dad never really believed in me cutting weight just because I was kind of struggling with wrestling success, as a record, goes. But yeah. And so, I mean, I had a good showing at Super 32. I think I won like 3 matches, which was cool for me, but just couldn't keep up with the weight cut. I was seeing all my friends eat these burgers and stuff. And I
That's
was just, I was like, this ain't for me. So I went up to 195, try to put on the weight a little bit. I remember weighing in with like Gatorade bottles in my pocket. So I didn't look 15 pounds lighter than everybody, so I can be like 185 instead. And, that's for some reason, I started having success at that weight. And I had those two partners, Matt and Corey, there to beat me up every single day. And I eventually, hit my stride.
Do you feel like that dude, that's must have been weird, like, okay, we're gonna cut you down and you're gonna wrestle at Super 32s at 60, 65, you said was the weight, and it's like
Yeah.
nah, there's no way we could sustain this a whole season. But
Yeah, yeah,
honestly,
like
like you look at 195s, like, I mean, no offense to the 195 pounders out there, but if you know how to wrestle and
right.
you're going up against, it's like the top end guys are pretty tough, but
Hmm.
the rest of the field isn't really super competitive. So you can make a
Yeah,
deep run.
little less juice in that one, competitive wise. No, yeah, just like you said, 95s, and I was decently strong too. Like my dad put a lot of emphasis on like weight room and stuff, and I was just a lot quicker than everyone too, which was awesome. I started to be able to like work my shots, and their gas tanks were a little bit less, and it was fun. I found a little success, made it to state my junior year, and what did I go at state? I think I went like 1 and 2 or something my
Yeah.
junior year, something like that. And then I kept it up, got a little bit bigger my senior year, and ended up sneaking on the podium.
Yeah, your senior year, I think you were the 2 seed coming in, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was. I had lost twice that year. I was like 40-2 going to the state.
I mean, I think having those two losses, but at the same time, it's like still getting the 2 seed. I think maybe shows like how competitive maybe
Hmm.
everybody on the podium was against each other.
Right. Well, that's like you said, it was when you got to that top eight, top 12, it was like they were really good. They were either going D1 wrestling or D1 football because at that weight, those kids were pretty stout. I think there was three D1 football players on the podium there, and then Jeremy Sweeney, who went to
Yeah.
Cornell. Yeah, he was
Vacaville,
really
right? Was he Vacaville?
Vacaville. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, up north.
Yeah, they've always had good guys too. And then what was your recruiting process like?
Um, it was actually kind of crazy. So my dad was very, very involved in it, and my dad is very faith based.
Yeah.
Makes all of his decisions through prayer and the Lord. And it's funny we're talking about him. It's his birthday today, actually. But
Damn.
so we were in heavy conversation with Cal Baptist and Coach Arson, and he really, really wanted me to go there. I think he actually committed for me without telling me. Not that I'm.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did. He calls me up. Hey, you got a really good scholarship offer from CBU, and you're gonna love it there. I go, well, yeah. I mean, I can talk to him. He's like, no, no, we accepted the offer. It's like, whoa. And this was before it was pretty early on. I think it was right after state, but still, I was still in high school. Seeing all my friends sign Corey to Oregon State the year before, Matthew to Cal State Bakersfield, seeing all my friends go Division 1, and that just like rung in my head. Like for some reason at that age, I was like, man, I'm not really accomplishing anything if I'm not D1. Like I'm not good enough if I don't go D1. So it was just ringing in the back of my head for some reason. And I had a cool conversation with Matthew. I called him over the phone on the drive home, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I can talk to Coach Coach Riley, and see if we can talk to you." So I called him, had a really, really good talk with him over the phone, and he invited me out to check it out. And I told my dad, and my dad was like, he kind of stepped away at that point, kind of removed himself. I think he was not disappointed, but just more concerned about like where I was choosing to go. Like I remember him saying like college is to develop yourself, like it's where you find your partners, where you could find your wife, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he really wanted it to be at a Christian organization, but ended up working out, I'd say. And it's funny, I went with Bakersfield. I think they offered me like $1,000 or like $750 as a
Yeah, like a
scholarship.
book scholarship,
Yeah,
basically.
and
Yeah.
it was substantially less than CVU, and I had a feeling that that was the right decision, man. Bakersfield never left my mind.
I mean, it's one of those things where I think, because I mean, I walked on too, but I was able to get a decent amount of eventually. And I know Sean O'Rourke, it was like kind of the same thing, like just got books. But that's kind of like how they kind of pieced that group together. What do you
Yeah.
think about that recruiting class? I mean, very like unheralded, but I would say like wrestling ability. I mean, if you go down the list of who kind of like went on to, I mean, you obviously went on to be a an All-American, not obviously not in D1, but still an All-American. Sean was probably like probably made one of the biggest jumps. Both Sean's, I would say Sean Nickel and Sean O'Rourke probably made the biggest jumps in terms of like skill and like drilling and stuff like that. O'Rourke
Yeah.
obviously didn't finish, but Nickel, two-time Pac-12 champ. I
Right.
think what three-time qualifier, round of
Yeah.
16. Um, and I think he went what, like 1-2 or 2-2 at state, maybe his senior year. But
Yeah.
to make
We
that kind
we
of
worked
jump, that was a fun group, dude.
it was such a fun group, man. The freshie squad was born that year. And no, it was cool. We didn't have the blue chips or anything. We didn't have the big names. And, you know, like you said earlier, I was, seated second at state and ended up only barely placing. I feel like it was a misfit island type situation. Like we had a home, we had a chance. Um, that coaching staff was giving us like opportunities to be like, okay, you have a chance to prove yourself. Like I remember at the Doc B. Did you ever wrestle at the Doc B?
Yeah, I wrestled my junior and senior year there.
Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, we would have been there at the same time. You probably
Probably
saw
in the
me.
same gym our senior year.
Yeah. So I made it to the finals my senior year, and I was like super excited. Huge accomplishment. I'm seeing all these college coaches in the stands watching and everything, and I'm kind of like there. Some of them walking up to me. I'm like, holy crap! I might make it to. And I let the nerves kind of get to me a little bit, and I got pinned in 45 seconds in the finals
Who'd you
in front of
wrestle?
everybody. Oh man, Cody Vigorin. I still hate that guy.
Cody who? Viren?
Vigorin or Vigorin. I think he ended up playing football,
What school
pretty
was
high
he at?
level. He's from Washington,
Oh, dang. Okay.
Lake something, Lake
Like,
Stevens.
oh yeah, dude. So
Yeah,
this guy beats you, and he's still on your mind.
he was my butt, dude. It haunts my nightmares. But yeah, 45 seconds in the finals, and you've seen the finals of Doc B. It's not a small show out, you
No,
know.
it's probably it's, dude. I can't imagine. It's got to be super intimidating for a high school kid to be out there in the finals.
Yeah, it's in. I'm not even supposed to beat there. I upset the number one seed in the semifinals just um, just by not stopping. It was I felt like I didn't belong there. I think that's why the nerves kind of got to me, and all the talking to the coaches and but to my point, the Purdue coach was there. And after that, he was talking to Corey and I introduced myself, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, like I'm looking to wrestle in college. He goes, you're the guy who just got pinned in a minute, didn't you? And I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. So uh,
Damn.
I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. And well, I forget his name, the coach's name. Started when it was like Flick or Fleck or something like that. And so that kind of ticked me off a little bit, and I was like, I'm going to prove them wrong. And, Cal State gave me that chance to make it up, and they didn't, you know, they didn't care about that because I remember talking to Coach Mendoza a couple months into the freshman year. I was like, hey, did you see my Doc B finals match by any chance? He was like, oh yeah, the one where you got pinned. And it was cool to know that they didn't really care, because he brought up the rest of the tournament. He was like, "Yeah, but I really liked your semifinals match." And I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool, man. They can see the potential that kids have."
Well, you want to look at like the whole picture. You don't want to look at like, well, yeah, you like got pinned in 40 something seconds forever in the finals. I think like if you're maybe from a shallow recruiting perspective, it's like, oh yeah, he just got pinned in the finals at, one of the tougher tournaments in the country. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but like the fact that he kept wrestling hard in the semifinals and like showed a lot of grit. I mean, I think it just goes back to, what are you looking for as a college coach? And I think Mendoza and Orozco were like, we're looking for diamonds in the rough, guys that want to wrestle hard. Um,
Yeah.
and I thought what was really cool is, I think I was for sure envious. I would say Sean was a little bit envious, but dude, you were competing for a starting spot right away.
Right away. Yeah. I think 84 or yeah, it was 84,
It
right? So
was
we
84, but I do remember they made you cut to 74 for a wrestle off with Bryce
Oh my
for the
gosh.
blue and
Yeah.
gold. And I remember like, dude, you were like, I think like maybe complaining about it, but I remember you
Yeah.
like posted like a selfie or whatever on Instagram,
Yeah.
like thirst trapping a little bit, like,
Of
yeah, I'm
course.
so jacked right now. I'm so
Yeah.
lean.
I forget about that, dude. Yeah, they not that there was, holes in the team, but I think there was kind of a vacancy at 184 or like an unknown starter when I got brought in, right? Because
Matt was 97s,
he
Ruben
was
was
97.
redshirting. And then we had like Emmanuel Barber, and then we had Jesus
Right.
Ambrose. So it was kind of like,
Yeah, right.
hey, if this guy's ready to go, he's a freshman. Let's just throw him in there right away. I mean, what do you can go wrestle at the opens anyways, but it's like,
Right.
why not? Where you're here to
Right.
compete, so
Right.
compete.
Like I feel like Bakersfield was when the kids got there, like you graduate high school, you go there. It was almost implied you were taking a red shirt. They just that's how it goes. Like some programs, you just get right into it. Other colleges, other divisions, you go for 4 years, you do your time, and you roll on. When we got to Bakersfield, it was just like implied that you were redshirting your first year. They didn't really. They wanted to develop you more the first year, I'd say, and then kind of throw you in. But you're right. My situation was a little different. I feel like, well, he's going to redshirt, but maybe he could, sneak in there. But
I
yeah,
think who else? I think maybe Sean Nickel might have ended up wrestling too, because I think what happened? I think Zach Zimmer was supposed to wrestle 25s and just couldn't get his weight down,
right,
which he was a big 25 pounder. And then Sergio, I think he was planning on redshirting, so I
right.
think they put Nickel in for the blue and gold. And I'm pretty sure he ended up wrestling. He
He
spot
wrestle?
sparred a couple times, right?
I think he might have.
Because I think Sergio ended up getting sick at one point. Zimmer couldn't make
Yeah,
it, so it's like, all right, that's our next best option.
yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure he did. Hmm.
I don't necessarily want to talk about how you got removed from the team, but I do think like when you think about like this timeline that you've kind of been on, and I think your personal growth, like I do think
Yeah,
it was something that I think was really good for you to leave Bakersfield and go to like another area where you can really kind of like not reinvent yourself, but you kind of got a
yeah,
fresh start and you already kind of done the college scene a little bit. Can you talk
yeah.
about like after you kind of left the team, like, because you were still in Bakersfield for a little bit, and then you went to Missouri.
I did. I moved from California to Missouri. So, yeah, I got kicked out. Well, my scholarship got removed the third year, right?
Yeah,
Or for
it was
third year.
third year because Manny had come in. He didn't really know you, so it was kind of like,
Right.
hey, you could earn it back, or you could be done.
Right.
And you're like, nah.
Being 20 years old, 21 years old at the time and full of fire. No, I don't know. I feel like Orozco and Mendoza, they kind of it was like a occupational hazard. Like we fought, we got into fist fights on the team and
Yeah,
emotions, flared, and it was kind of just a normal thing. You move on. They're still your brother.
yeah,
What happens in the room, you can go get the dinner with the guy the same night. But yeah, Manny came in and I was still on that same timeline, and he was like, "This guy's a lunatic." Like he's fighting
I don't
someone
think he
called.
thought that. I think he was just trying to like he didn't know you, so he's like, "Well, I'm just gonna try to be reasonable instead of." I think he was trying to make an example too. Like, you gotta
Yeah,
cut that. If you're punching, if you're, I think you smacked Lorenzo or whatever. We can have Lorenzo on and we can debate it, but
Yeah. Oh
Whatever.
no.
It was
I'll tell you a word play by play. I had his foam roller. I stole the foam roller. Remember that?
dude, no, I was sitting up against the wall and I got punched in the face by Kyle the spring before, and I
Yeah.
knew what was going to happen. I'm like, these guys are going to go at it. Somebody's going
Yeah.
to say something to somebody. It's going to escalate. I'm sitting on the wall and I'm not getting involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. You separated yourself.
No, I stayed up. Yeah, no, yeah, I
Yeah.
separate. Yeah, I stayed out
Yeah.
of it.
But I had the foam roller and I wasn't using it. I think I was just messing with it. And then
You were
Lorenzo,
bopping people on the head, like boop,
for whatever reason,
boop, being
yeah,
silly, you know?
just booped. I was just booping. But he's like, and he actually needed it. And he was like, give me that back. I'm like, no, I'm using it. And he goes, well, you're a chump. I go, and that just like, I was like, no way he just called me that. Like a chump, he called me. And so I think I threw it at him and I think we hit each other like once or twice. And then we went on
Rivera
about
Rivera took it, and he's
he
like,
did.
"I'm taking the foam roller. I'm taking it
Yeah.
away." And Lorenzo, I called you another name, and you're like, "All right." And he smacked
I
him
said,
across the
okay,
face, and then
okay. And I,
everybody jumped in and like pulled you guys apart.
yeah,
But it was like, dude, man,
yeah,
over a foam
yeah. I
roller.
never
But
had
it
a
ended up working
problem.
out though.
Yeah, it ended up working out, and I think that kind of was where I was at in a headspace. Like I had no problems with having a problem, if like it wasn't a big deal to me to like fight someone, it was just very normalized at that point in my life. Like I'm pretty sure I even fought you because you said one word.
Yeah, you're
I,
like, don't say that word again.
I said,
You
don't say
said
that word again. And you
it.
looked me in the eyes and you said it. And I just got up and I just started hitting you in study room, you know?
But I think it goes back to like it's not like vindictive. It's not like malicious.
No.
It's like I saw you the next day and it didn't
Yeah.
it was fine. I think
Yeah.
what I think from a coaching perspective now, it's like you don't necessarily want your athletes to do that because somebody can get hurt. Like I got
Right.
hurt, you know what I mean? And then I had to get freaking surgery and then I was out for,
Right.
a couple months. You don't want that to happen. But I think you got to find that balance of like having a little bit of an ego and like a little bit of like, I'm not going to take that versus, hey, also have critical thinking skills. Don't punch each
Yeah.
other in the face. Where
Yeah.
like, if Lorenzo got seriously hurt, then he can't wrestle in the first couple duels. Then it's like that affects the whole team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. But no, so it it ended up leading me where I'm at now. And so I think I finished the school year out at Bakersfield that year. And obviously couldn't get away from wrestling. So this was my first wrestling coach job I got. I just kind of drove around to all the high schools and was seeing who was hiring assistant coaches and if they needed any help with the programs. And I ended up at Liberty High School with Coach Kyle Plummer and got to help coach that team for the remainder of the season. And that's kind of where my love for wrestling coaching, you know, budded and bloomed. But and then I was getting a couple calls from coaches to wrestle next season, kind of seeing what I was doing. And I was not really sure if I wanted to continue or not, but I ended up taking a call from Central Missouri University, small town, big school in a small town. It's just a college town, and he flew me out there and I was kind of getting like the royalty treatment. And they were like, oh, this guy wrestled D1, blah, blah, blah. Cause
Yeah.
it was a Division II program. And, all the kids were like, oh, we got to get this guy, got to get blah, blah, blah. As I'm stepping down a level, so I started to see the difference between the two. And no, they offered me everything. They offered me, a bunch of money and they got free food packages and stuff. And I was like, I kind of made the decision to do that based off like financially, because like I said, I was getting a book scholarship at Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And so I definitely made that decision based off of money instead of like what's a good fit for me, because I get there and no one in that room wants to have a tough practice, no one's willing to scrap or get better or this or that. So I wasn't really being pushed, um, you know, wrestling practice. So I was taking my energy out elsewhere and, getting into trouble on the weekends, and just going out too much, and kind of going down a bad path. And my sister calls me up, and she's like, "Man, Dylan, this isn't you. Like, you love wrestling. Like, you don't need to be doing this stuff." And she was the coach at Missouri Baptist at the time. So mid-season, her and her coach bring me out. It was Thanksgiving break, and they bring me out to the wrestling room and show me everything. And uh, shortly after that, I moved into her basement in St. Louis, and finished up with Missouri Baptist. Man, my sister kind of saved my butt from getting into any more trouble out there, and
What
kind
family's
of
for, dude.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you left first semester, and because it was NCAA Division two, and you went to an NAIA, there was no like loss of eligibility. It's just you just roll right in, basically.
That's what I was told. That is what I was told. But long story short, after my first year at Missouri Baptist, the second year I signed a scholarship again, ranked second in the nation, just all American last year, kind of like getting my stuff together, got a job. Um, and 2 days before my first wrestling match against McKendree University, I'm on weight and everything. I'm feeling good. Like life's going good. Got my stuff together. Coach pulls me into the office, sits back on his chair. He goes, "We got a problem." I was like, "What's going on, coach?" Like, with like tomorrow, do they not have a guy for me to wrestle? He's like, "They don't have anyone for you to wrestle ever again, Dylan." I was like, "What do you
Oh,
mean?"
dang.
And so he explained how I had wrestled like 2 or 3 matches for Central Missouri, and that year everything was you know developing. That's kind of when the rules were changing. So I used a whole year's eligibility on 2 or 3 matches, and that's when I found out I wasn't going to compete that year, and it was really heartbreaking and really tough to take. But he was a good coach, Brian Jackson at Missouri Baptist. So he offered me a GA position instead, so I could kind of stay on the team and coach. But I was struggling in school. I was a 2.0 kid, just enough so that I
You're
could
there to
compete.
hang out and wrestle.
I was there
Yeah.
for the vibes, man. I liked all my friends who went there. Um, so I tried that, got impatient, ended up dropping out. I was just mad that I couldn't compete. I was finally starting to do better. I was seeing success in wrestling and at that division, and I was truly heartbroken. That was it was very heartbreaking for me to have that taken away after going through so much to finally get on a good path with wrestling. So I dropped out. Ended up just doing some odd jobs here and there, and downtown St. Louis, and that's kind of where I fell in love with the city. And here I am, 8 years later, still here.
Yeah, I feel like the city is kind of a cool spot, and I'm actually I wasn't expecting it to be that fun. Like,
Yeah,
there's so much to do there. Like, if you want to do like the tourist stuff, like you can go see the Arch, which you show me that, which the Arch was pretty
yeah, I
cool.
did. Did
Um,
you touch it?
we didn't go
Did you
in
touch
there.
the arch?
We didn't go in there. We just like I
Oh,
think we went underneath it.
yeah.
Yeah, we were
Did you
scootering
touch it
around
though? Did you feel it?
downtown during the daytime.
Yeah,
But no, man, I mean, I think it is a really cool city, and what I appreciate is I feel like there's a very mixed vibe of like the South and like the Midwest, which
for
like
sure.
that's like my kind of people, dude.
Yeah,
I came home from that trip, and I told my mom like I might move out there. Like
yeah.
that's a cool spot. Like they got wrestling over there. They have like the
Hmm.
nicest room I've ever been in. Dylan's
Yeah,
over there. Like we just
yeah,
hang out. Um, but talk about like, so you took a little bit of a break, but I remember at some point you were coaching, right? Because I think you were
yeah.
coaching middle school group.
I was I was coaching middle school in the south side of St. Louis. I got back to it, just jumping around odd jobs here and there, and again, get brought back to wrestling. It was 2019 that I got hooked up with this program, and I coached with them that full year before COVID hit. Kind of, school was starting or season had just ended or something. And then COVID hit. So I didn't go back the next year. But no, I worked with the middle school program. It was a first year program, had like 6 or 7 kids, and they were all first year wrestlers. But it was awesome. It was cool to coach the youth again. And we had 2 Missouri State champs our first year. Um, Julian was his name. I forget the other kid's name, but Julian talked more, so I remember him. Uh,
I do remember talking to you about like you kind of have to build those like the rapport with the kids because they don't know you, you know what I mean? And they're middle school kids, so they're gonna sometimes try to test you and go off the
oh
rails a little bit. How would you like compare like your first year coaching like that group and then kind of being in relatively the same area? You're kind of doing it again.
yeah, it was different. I was a lot younger, a lot more full of life back then. So it was new and exciting, and I felt like I had a little ownership because these kids had never wrestled before. So I think we spent the first 2.5 weeks on a penetration. Like just the short little penetration steps. Like I made them do 1,000 shots. And then go into a program now where these kids do have a pretty strong foundation because they've grown up in this program for so long. Like it's kind of polar opposite of what I was used to. But yeah, it's a challenge, man. Um, every team's different. Every team has its different challenges, and it's fun.
Does Steven, he's the director of wrestling, does that mean like he kind of gives you like, hey, this is kind of like what we want to build towards? Or is it like, hey, just take these kids, mold them, shape them, hammer fundamentals, go for it? What's it like the exact like
Well,
coaching training situation?
well, for those of you who don't know my brother-in-law, he doesn't really talk very much. He's a very quiet person. So I think him and I have had maybe 2 minutes worth of a conversation about this whole thing.
Oh, really?
I
Here
swear.
are the keys.
Here are the keys.
Bathroom's
Yeah,
over there. Here's the
yeah.
wrestling room.
Didn't
That's
even
it.
get that. No introduction. Truthfully, he's like, he just handed it. I'm like, what's this? Key. I was like, for what? He's like, pretty much everything. I was like, all right, Steve, I'll see you later, I guess. He's a funny guy. He's, you know, he he's quiet.
I think I had like one conversation with him at your wedding. Um,
That's good. That's
but
that's a good start.
he seemed like he was pretty talkative during the reception, maybe just not in the build up.
Definitely not the next morning. You were on my bachelor party, weren't you?
Yeah, I was one of your groomsmen, dude.
Did you go to Vegas with us?
No, no, that was
Okay.
dude, I forgot your buddy's name. He lives in LA. Matthias.
Matthias.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we tagged out and we are like, all right, hey, we'll hang out with the with Dylan and the crew during like the dinner before, like the night before, like because Matthias like you guys went to Vegas and came back like within a day,
Yeah.
right? Like you guys only spent a day
Yeah.
out there.
Quick trip, dinner,
Yeah,
running around town. But yeah, so
you must
Steve,
have been exhausted, bro.
oh yeah, so tired. That's the problem with having a wedding and 3,600 miles across the country or whatever it is. It's a lot. You got to squeeze it all in one week.
Yeah,
But
I mean that was fun. What's it like? I guess now like with your coaching situation, I know you talked about you basically just it's kind of like a daycare embedded with also wrestling
yeah.
practice, and then you drive them around. What are you doing
Yeah.
what are you doing in the morning? You kind of just are
So
you playing for practice? Are you checking on their grades? Are you doing any of that kind of stuff?
so I don't have a super simple job to explain to people. So I just tell people wrestling coach, because it saves me a 10-minute explanation. But since you brought me out, I'll dig into it. Um, so I work for a company called Lansdowne Up. Lansdowne is a part of the East St. Louis community in Illinois, that they're developing. That's, the landscaping, the housing developments, all that stuff. That's the nonprofit. where most of the coaches work for because, wrestling coaches make 3 grand a year. You can't really pay rent with that. So they've done a really good job of incorporating that company for the coaches. So I've got a day job with them. I, help clean up the community, landscaping, housing developments. I have a background as a carpenter. It's still early on, but they're gonna try to use me in some aspect with that. So just, manual labor, community cleanup is what funds the wrestling program because they started um, East St. Louis Wrestling Club, you know, and there's a program in the summer called Rise Up where our wrestlers who are over, I think, 14 years old get to work with us in the summers and
Nice.
get paid. And it's kind of just a way to keep an eye on them during the summer because, summer's when all the bad stuff happens. People are out and about, and just they're so bored they get in trouble. But yeah, it's cool. It's full time. I think I am there from work starts at 7:30 in the morning, and then I pick my first kid up at 2:30, so I work all the way until 2:30. Pick up James from the elementary school, and then go pick up the rest of the kids. And probably about 3 o'clock, we all get to the facility and we feed them. We work pretty closely with the JJK, which is the Jackie Joyner Kersey Center, who she's an Olympic track medalist from East St. Louis, and she pours a lot of time and resources into the community as well. And the buildings are right there. So we pick up lunch for them from there every day and feed them. And high school practices at that time. So the middle school kids have about an hour and a half to play, mess around, work out, stuff like that, get in trouble, fight each other. Um, and then we do our practices um, until about 5:30, and then take the kids, drop them off home, and do it all again the next day.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast. Are you guys and this is technically this is like their school programs,
Mhm.
right? So do you guys what's the postseason like?
Well, so the high school, yes, is um, directly with our program. The high school team, boom. The middle schools don't have wrestling teams, so that's where
It's
I
like a
come in.
club.
We're
It's like a
we're a
club
club,
program. Got
and
it.
we have about 3 different middle schools and elementary schools that we have people with. But the 2 middle schools eventually kind of mold into East St. Louis High School. So yeah, we've had kids there who started from the youth program who've graduated high school and stuff like that, all through
That's
the
pretty
same.
cool, dude. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it seems like it's like this multifaceted approach where it's like you're helping the community, but with the cleanup and like rebuilding and like helping people. You're also doing the child care part where like
yeah,
you're taking care of the kids and like picking them up after school and like that way if parents are working a second shift or working 2 jobs, like you're helping them out there. You're feeding them, which
yeah,
is big. But then you're giving them kind of like this pathway where it's like, dude, they're gonna be around like disciplined people and like get good access to coaching, like former Division I wrestlers and guys that have All American in college,
yeah,
and then in the summers when they're old enough, they can get career experience,
yeah,
which for them it's like yeah, like you said, it keeps them out of trouble, but it's something they can put on their resume. And if they go on and wrestle
yeah,
college, great. If not, it's like you already kind of have a head start on life.
yeah, yeah. It's getting to the point, or it the company's old enough now where there are a few wrestlers who have gone off to college and come back. I think like 1 or 2 of them, and now they work for Lansdowne. So it's kind of becoming this like repeating cycle um, where they've been through the program, they've gone and had success, and now they're coming to be mentors for their own community as well. I believe we have 2 that are with the company, and this is a East St. Louis is a city where the graduation rate is not very good, um, so it is really cool to help see the improvement in that.
And that's
It's
a mark of like a good program. Like if kids graduate and they want to come back and help,
right. Yeah.
I mean, it means that it's having an impact on people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have guys that like maybe they, aren't coming back and coaching, but like they're around. I'm sure they come and watch dual meets and like,
Oh yeah.
checking in on
Yeah.
people and like things like that. And that's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah. It's nice to have that revolving door. This program will always be there for people when they need it, in a lot of different aspects of life, for a job, coaching job, entertainment, watching the kids wrestle, it's really cool. I'm very fortunate to be a part of this organization. It's really, really cool. And I'm only 3 weeks in and I'm getting really excited. We had our first
Yeah.
tournament yesterday.
How did that go?
Oh man, the kids are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're funny, so they always want to go out to eat afterwards, and I'm the new guy,
That's the
right?
best part, man. It's like, all right, the tournament's done. Let's go eat. Like, coach, where are we
So
going to eat?
so I'm the new guy, right? And still learning all the thousands of rules, and the kids were like, "Oh, well, there's a Texas Roadhouse like right down the street. Like we love Texas Roadhouse." And I'm like, "You guys don't eat Texas Roadhouse. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no way this place pays for Texas Roadhouse." They're like, "Yeah, I swear." I was like, "All right." And it was only, I think everyone else had gotten dropped off, but I had about 5 kids with me. I was like, "All right, we'll go to Texas Roadhouse if that's where you want to go." I had a couple kids win first place, and they were very well behaved. It was awesome. My first tournament, I got to coach against my sister, which was
Heck yeah.
fun. Yeah. So I take them, Texas Roadhouse, and they're eating freaking big steaks and stuff. We're having a great time. Uh, this morning, my boss, did you take the kids to Texas Roadhouse after the tournament?
Dang it. You use the card too? Use the company
Yeah. And I'm like,
card?
yeah, the kids said they go there all the time. He's like, they've never been there. I was like, they got me so good. He's like, take him to Jimmy John's next time, dude.
That's like out of a movie, man. Where like the kids are like, no, no, coach, trust me, this is a tradition. We go there every tournament.
Yeah, we go there every time. Like, we love it. I was like, okay. None of them had ever been there before. Like, they got me. They got me good.
Dude, that's gonna be like something like here's what's cool is like that's gonna be a memory they're gonna have for like 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're gonna come
yeah,
talk to you and they're gonna be like, hey, remember when we freaking got you back when we were in seventh grade and we we tricked you to go to Texas Roadhouse?
yeah. That is cool, man. I mean, that's most of my memories. Like, just with the coaches, the team, and like when we were driving to Reno, and we thought we had lived our last day on this world because we accidentally hit our coach with a snowball. Shout out to Sean.
These are other stories that I think I did a podcast with Orozco and we talked about
Yeah,
this, but I feel like it's worth telling again from your
yeah.
perspective because he's talked about it, but I think it would be funny if you wanted to tell the story from your perspective, and I'll kind of jump in and fill parts of it maybe from
Well,
my perspective.
my hands are clean of this situation. I had no involvement whatsoever. In case Orozco is watching, I was totally removed from the situation. Uh, but no, we were driving to Reno, which is what, a 10 hour drive.
It's supposed to be like a 7 or 8 hour drive, but it turned into like a 12-hour drive.
Right. Very terrible snow on the ground, treacherous road conditions. We get a flat tire, right? Or we're slipping or something. Orozco's
They couldn't
working
get
on,
they couldn't get the chains on the van. So like
right,
because we were unattached, the two school vans were driving and we followed
right.
them in Matt Gamble's truck.
Oh yeah. I remember that too. um, but yeah, we were pulled over to the side of the road on a mountain, probably at a slant, and Orozco is free. His fingers are probably falling off. He's putting the chain on. And then what do? We're bored. We decide to start messing around, throw snow. I forget who all was involved, but
It was so it in the truck, Matt was behind the wheel. I sat right behind Matt, and then Tyler Lawrence was in the middle seat. But
mhm,
you and Sean both got out, and I think it was Matt Williams and somebody else. You
Yeah.
guys were throwing snowballs against each
Van
other.
wars. Yeah, we had van wars, and we started throwing snowballs at each other, this and that. And former baseball player Sean O'Rourke gets in there and just beams Orozco as he's on his hands and knees fixing the tire all down his jacket. Just perfectly placed shot. Oh man, we hear some kind of curse word from afar, and we know it's Orozco's voice. So we jump in the truck like nothing happened, and he gets up and he's all red hot. You could see steam coming off of him from the snow. He's boiling, and he rips that front door open. Just, who threw that snowball? And we weren't going to rat him out or nothing, but we all saw the fear
He
of
thought
God
it
that
was you though.
he thought it
He
was
thought it
me.
was you right away. He's like,
Who
"You
threw
throw
that?
that
And
snowball."
I was like, just in shock, just ghost white. No, and I didn't want to rat Sean out.
Like, Sean, you got something to say?
I was like, kind of like Ian, but didn't want to say it.
You don't want Sean to know that you ratted him out.
Exactly, but I definitely didn't want the wrath of Orozco. But no, man, those are memories we'll have forever, and it's really cool to be on the other side of it as a coach now with kids who are developing and learning, and we'll probably always remember Coach Bollinger, just like we talk about Coach Roscoe or high school coaches or however, like the embedded in our memories and our day-to-day life. And
That's the most rewarding part is like
yeah,
the memories that you get to make with those kids and then like when they grow up and like I even forget stuff. Like there was a kid who's reffing now that I guess I let him a pair of shoes during COVID because he forgot his shoes. And
yeah,
like he like came up to me and it was like, oh hey, like it started telling this whole story and I was like,
yeah,
that's awesome, man. Like that's cool.
yeah,
I didn't even remember that, but apparently, it's like you don't even realize you have such an impact on somebody, you know?
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's fun, man. It's really cool. But
yeah. I hope Orozco listens to this, man, because maybe we'll both text him.
yeah,
It's like it's just little things like that, and then saying, dude, like, I mean, that was such a fun, like, important memory for us, like growing up,
yeah,
being young men, and it's like we get to share that with them. Like, how cool is that, you know?
yeah. Yeah, it was cool to have wrestled under him specifically. He was more my weight class versus yours. So me and him have, gone to wars together. Me, him, Ruben, Matt Williams. I was very fortunate with my wrestling partners at Bakersfield. And I always had room to grow and I was always being pushed in that rotation. I've got a fake tooth because of that rotation. Just all the scraps we've had. Me, Orozco, Ruben, Williams. That was fun, man. That stuff I'll never forget. That group.
Well, dude, we've been going for an hour. And it seems like it's kind of flown by.
Yeah.
Before we close out, do you got anything else you want to talk about or kind of add?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up kind of the faith behind it all, and how it just kept bringing me back with the Lord specifically. Like he's got a really cool way of always bringing me back down to earth, through whatever vessel that be. And it's cool to see where I'm going. I feel like I'm starting to get back to one of those feelings of hitting my stride, kind of like when I was at Missouri Baptist with my sister, or when I was coaching middle school wrestling. It's really cool to be working for an art organization that does teach all these kids these developmental skills, but it's all faith based. It always revolves back to the word of the Lord, which is cool. And, I'm starting to see some, sparks in myself that have gone away for a while. And it's really cool to be reconnected with him and his teachings and given back, So Shout out JC.
Well, dude, I mean, you've been, I mean, you're kind of a big part of, I'd say, my walk in a lot of ways. Like, there's a, it's fun. It's actually University of Virginia. There's a president. I forget his name, but I show this speech every year to my class, and that's kind of how we start, like, my U.S. history course is we watch this speech. But it's called "The Imperfect Pursuit of High Ideals," and he talks about it in the wake of those Charlotte riots that happened 2018 maybe. But it was kind of like kind of the beginnings of like the Black Lives Matter movement and like
Yeah,
trying to understand like Thomas Jefferson, and then he's like he owned slaves, but he also wrote the Declaration of Independence, and trying to understand this kind of this imperfect way of trying to reach something that's like really hard to attain. And I think
yeah,
like kind of as a Christian, like that's kind of how like your walk kind of is. It's like you try to be
yeah,
like Jesus Christ, but you're not going to be. So should you still try
yeah,
to go that walk knowing you're never going to reach that perfection, you know what I mean, as a human?
yeah,
But I think yeah, man, I think like as your friend, as somebody that's known you for over 10 years now, like it's pretty cool that
jeez.
we still get to talk, still get to like reminisce, dude. Like this is pretty
Yeah,
fun, and really glad that you were able to come on, dude.
yeah. It's been a long time coming. I'm a long time viewer, first time guest, so it's a pleasure to be here. No, I'm happy for you as well too, man. I'm see you growing and keeping track and doing what you love. You always loved wrestling. I think out of the freshman group, you loved the sport the most. You know, it was just well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Yeah,
I feel
maybe.
like
I
you,
think it goes back to like that identity thing, and it's
yeah,
something that as I've gotten older, I've kind of struggled with is like, you know, like really like I think what this podcast is about, it's more like a wrestler's take on life, not like about wrestling, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like obviously we talked a lot about wrestling, but it's not about the wrestling, it's about the life stuff.
yeah.
So, yeah, dude, I mean, yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I think yeah, dude, we're a part of each other's journeys and this is
Yeah.
fun. So,
Well, you've always been introspective.
well, yeah, honestly, I think that was a very important part of like me, you, and Sean's friendship, is I had to
Yeah.
balance you guys out all the
Who,
time.
me? Me and
Which
Sean?
we're gonna have to go off air if we want to reminisce on some of those stories. But anyways, man, I'll stop recording. But absolute pleasure to have you on, and dude, let's do this again.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Mr. Batista. Thanks for having me.